Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about, of course, this is a time again where the capital is strife with rumors about the government. There's also, of course, the imminent no confidence motion that's pending. What are the ramifications of this no confidence motion? How does the government feel about it? What does the opposition feel at this time as far as the number game is concerned? We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about, of course, the recent skirmish that was witnessed as far as in the Parliament lodges is concerned, and of course the government's narrative regarding that, the opposition saying quite the opposite. As far as overall politics is concerned, this is not the first time, of course the Prime Minister has taken a vote of confidence before, and it seems to be a government constantly, as far as the opposition is concerned, there seems to be some either a motion or there seems to be some kind of critique against the government, which of course also fair enough is the job of the opposition. But how fair is it, and how much further should the opposition go when a government is in place, when of course they've been elected for 5 years? A little of that also, and the ramification of this as far as our domestic politics is concerned, our international politics is concerned, all of that today on Perspective. I have with me Mustafa Abdullah Balot, who is with the PPP. Thank you for being with us. Asiya Nasir with the JUIF. Thank you for joining us. We also have with us Rafiq Rajwana, who is with the PMLN. Thank you for being with us. Mustafa Sahab, as far as this no confidence motion is concerned, certainly a lot is being said, and it's been a couple of days now that the opposition is saying that they have the numbers. The government of course claims you don't. What is the situation at this time? I mean, as far as the opposition members are concerned, they're being held here. I mean, I don't think held is the right word, but one can say they're being told to stay in the capital. So anything can happen at any time. Is that true? Is that just that air of secrecy being maintained? What is happening overall? What's your take on this?
Actually, MARUKH, Pakistan People's Party was on a belief that we can only go in a constitutional way. So that's why we decided to go for a no confidence motion against the Prime Minister.
Right.
So this is a very simple thing which the Prime Minister is not able to understand, and he's trying to make it more obvious in front of people that he's panicking. He's leaving no chance. Wherever he's going, he's mocking all those opposition leaders, and he's giving them giving the international media a message that he's the boss. But actually, this is not the way in democracy. People should feel that this is a free space. Any democratic party can bring a move against the Prime Minister, and he has to face it. So he should face it in the Parliament rather than giving speeches in front of people and mocking all those dignitary leaders of opposition.
Right.
And as far as the numbers are concerned, he should rather keep his house in order. Like Jahangir Tareen and Alim Khan, they are the ones who have created a forward bloc from his party. So the threat is from there.
Let me come back to Asiya. You're of course a part of, very much a part, I would say, of the opposition. But overall, as far as what Mustafa is saying, isn't it true that as far as having these political gathering is concerned, talking to people is concerned, having that people-to-people contact is concerned, that's certainly a prerogative of any Prime Minister, and if he chooses to do that, of course one can't berate him for that. But barring that, as far as the opposition is concerned, don't you think that it keeps coming up? I mean, of course there was the PDM, and I don't know if one can say there is the PDM, but there seems to be this continued move against this government, and then it seems to die down. So it's wouldn't you say it's come in waves, and this is another one of them?
Marukh, first of all, I would like to say that I would like to strongly condemn what has happened yesterday, last night in Parliament lodges, where our respectable workers, they were victims of the act of violence by the government. They were bullied, they were threatened. I think these are some of the dirty tactics which the government is using and has been using to threaten the opposition parties and opposition people. I think there is no justification behind the act which took took place last night, and they very well know the power of the opposition, that they have the mandate of people, and the government very well knows that they have stolen that mandate. And the thing is that now given in the given current situation, the things have come to the extreme. As you were saying that there have been waves of this opposition, but I think that this is the extreme wave, because now the time has come that the nation cannot bear any more such an incompetent Prime Minister and government anymore.
So before I go to Jameel Saab, I'll let him answer this, but so you think that if this motion fails, then effectively the opposition will have lost considerable ground to ever, unite like this against the government in this tenure?
I don't think so, because it is very much democratic, and it is very much constitutional, and in the past also there have been precedents when such motions were moved against the Prime Ministers, against the speakers, and if they fail, it does not mean that the opposition they have lost the ground, because they have very strong grounds, and that is that they have the favor of the people. Now the Prime Minister and his government, they were claiming the populace.
And you're saying also the numbers at this
yes,
time.
Actually it's no confidence is a calculated gamble. But the thing is that in the given, as Bharosa was very right, that it's more inside the party. Now the confidence he has lost within the party, actually that descendant vote is encouraging the no confidence move.
Let me come back to you. Jameel Saab, I don't know if you've been following or not, but we have Asiya Nasir from the JUIF and Mustafa Abdullah Baloch from the PPP. And by and large, what has been said before is that there is, the root cause, both of them seem to think that the root cause of what's happening against the government at this time stems from within the government, from fissures within the government, whether you call Jahangir Khan Tareen or Aleem Khan, their alliance, breaking away from the party, all of those things. So it's not really the opposition they're saying. Of course, the opposition is now uniting against the government, but the root cause are those fissures. How would you respond to that?
Thank you so much. First of all, I hope you can hear me.
Gee, I can.
Okay. First of all, I would respond to one of my honorable participant here who said that respectable workers were degraded and they were arrested last night in the parliament lodges. Well, I must explain that they were not the ordinary workers. They were the militia men of Ansarul Islam, which has been banned last year in 2019. That was banned, and there were around 45 to 50 people who intruded the parliament lodges, and they were pushed out of the parliament lodges, and in the morning they were released also. So this cannot be called that perhaps we are doing something wrong. Anybody intruding the parliament lodges and taking the safety of the residents over there, the families there, I think the police have taken correct measures. Secondly, by people, someone from People's Party said that we have started gatherings, political gatherings. Well, I must say that Pakistan People's Party, they had a march from Sindh to Islamabad. They call it legitimate. But if we do it, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf leadership, or we do it, they call it legitimate. I think that's again not correct. And thirdly,
Jameel Saab,
they said that we are lacking confidence.
But don't you think whatever happened as far as the parliamentary lodges are concerned is in any event highly irregular? You wouldn't agree with that?
Maham, listen, if members of a banned organization are entering into the parliament lodges, I think that was the perhaps that was the only option to push them out of the parliament lodges. No FIRs were lodged there. They are released in the morning, and perhaps there were complaints by the members over there also that some people have intruded the parliament lodges.
Okay. Let me come back to you. Jameel Saab, I'll come back to you.
One more thing I must say. These people are giving the example of Aleem Khan meeting with the Pakistan Muslim League new leadership, and perhaps they're saying that our confidence is shaking. It's not. Today's gathering at Lower Deer has spoken itself. Imran Khan enjoys popularity in the public. Imran Khan enjoys the support of the public. People are with Imran Khan. Imran Khan has got the confidence. The members of the parliament are with Imran Khan. Allies are with Imran Khan. And let me give you this news also that around 9 to 10 members of opposition are with Imran Khan. So it's a political stunt by PDM once again. Previously, they failed in the past. And again, I'm sure they will fail again. The stunt will fail very soon.
Let me come back to you. I will let Rafiq Rajwana Saab answer that. Ji, Rajwana Saab, I don't know if you've been following, but Jameel Saab is saying quite the opposite. He's saying that as far as your members are concerned, they have 8-9 members of the opposition who will vote with them. Overall, how do you see this scenario manifesting? If this no confidence fails, don't you think that the opposition will have lost whatever ground they have, now and then mustered against the government? And probably, for the remaining part, whatever tenure this government has left, it will be very difficult to amass the opposition together the way that you are at this time.
Today I've been joined very late. I was listening to my learned brother. I don't know his name because I was not on the line during intro. Hello.
Ji, Jameel Saab.
Jameel Saab. Jameel Saab is a parliamentarian?
He's from the PTI, ji.
Oh, PTI. He's not a member of National Assembly or parliamentarian. Okay. I've listened to him. There is no need of giving any reply to any discussion which I have heard. The question is that the Prime Minister is elected with vote of confidence, okay, by the members of the Parliament, by the members of the National Assembly. While the Constitution under Article 95 provides the vote of no confidence, that is also a constitutional right. So, once having exercised and having been elected as a Prime Minister, having the vote of confidence under the Constitution, now if the constitutional right is being exercised by the opposition, that is their right. Nobody should get offended why this no confidence move has been made. Now the question of its success or its failure, claim versus claim, okay? The best answer would be wait and see. If the no confidence motion is carried and the majority gives vote in favor of no confidence, then the picture will be very clear. If that was a democratic right, it was exercised, it is going to be exercised, and the consequences in both the cases, everybody, the opposition or the treasury benches have to face. Now, with all humbleness, I would say that it's a democratic right, and the opposition people are checking their hands are on the pulse of the people of Pakistan. Whatsoever the people of Pakistan are facing, the price hike, the economic situation, the foreign policy, and then after moving of this no confidence motion, the reaction is uncalled for. The manner, the reaction could be in a democratic way. It's this reaction and the speeches of...
What should be the reaction of the government, in your opinion?
No reaction at all. They should face the music. They should face the vote of no confidence motion, and they should show that it has failed. That is, their reaction should be, or even then, if they have to react.
The same Prime Minister has taken a vote of confidence before also in his tenure. That also is, unwarranted for a Prime Minister to take,
Article 95 says the vote of no confidence. The vote of no confidence is during the tenure of the Prime Minister. Otherwise, the tenure is finished. Then there is a new election. This is a constitutional right. Nobody can say that the Prime Minister has obtained the vote of confidence, so there can be no confidence. No,
it is. I will come back to you. Let me go to Mustafa Abdullah Baloch. But I mean, of course, it is a constitutional right of the opposition to protest. It is a constitutional right. It is a question of freedom of speech to criticize the government. It is also, a constitutional right to, like Rizwana Saab is saying, and you are saying, and Asiya is also saying, that for this no confidence motion to happen. But at the same time, isn't it true that as far as the government is concerned, barring this kind of move, when you talk about constructive criticism, there is a lot that is said from the government side, and I think I'll go to Jameel Saab later with for this. But as far as constructive criticism is concerned, the government criticizes the opposition that when they want the opposition to play a role, for example, in amendments, for example, when they talk about amending the criminal justice system, or when they talk about amending, for example, different laws are concerned, the opposition does not come with alternatives. They come and they criticize the government, but there are no alternatives it offers. One example, of course, was the IMF issue. When the government, the opposition criticized the government, they said, oh, he's going to the Prime Minister is again going to the IMF. He said he wasn't, all of those things. But did we really have an option? So the question is, of course, these are democratic rights. Of course, these are constitutional rights in the case of no confidence motion. But are they fair for the opposition to levy these from time to time on the government with no concrete, alternatives to offer?
See, opposition has always played a positive role since day one. Be it Pulwama attack, be it any other issue which is concerned to the national level, opposition has played a vital role and supported the government. And Bilawal Saab has said in day one that if any constructive thing comes from the government, we will support that. But point is, if the inflation rate is going high, if people are like there's a lot of pressure on us.
So why not just let the government complete its tenure, go to the people, ask them to, for their mandate, instead of trying to bring this no confidence motion? And how confident is the opposition that they will be able to make things right at this point, if even if this no confidence?
This question is coming from the same party who was giving a 126 days dharna in the same D Chowk. That was unconstitutional.
Right.
We are doing a constitutional move.
Okay.
So that's a wide difference. And I would like to respond, Jameel Saab, that if the Prime Minister is so confident and he has like perfect numbers, then why is he panicking around? Why is he calling names to all those respectable opposition members? And he literally threatened former President Asif Zardari. So how can he justify that? So these are certain things which Prime Minister is making obvious. He should at least calm down and wait for the day. And if he is confident enough, then he should wait for the day, rather than giving such kind of statements.
Ji, Asiya.
Yes, Marukh, first of all, I would like to respond to my respectable brother Jameel, that as he said regarding our workers, that they were from the banned organization. If they were from the banned organization, why then they were released early in the morning? Secondly, any honorable member of the parliament, whether MNA or senator, has all the right that his constituents visit him, and he can host them, either they are from the security side or other his constituents. Secondly, did they hurt anyone in the parliament lodges? I mean, these are all the tactics, and I don't know that why our PTI brothers and sisters unnecessarily defend the wrongdoings of their government and their prime ministers. Secondly, yes, no confidence is very much constitutional, and I think that the Prime Minister has himself given this culture of criticism, that instead of giving positive or criticism, he has always done this in the past with the governments. He has always blamed the governments, and he don't have any other vision in except the blame game. And I must say that the political parties in PDM, no matter how many differences they have, no matter what their ideologies are, but one thing is very right, that now we cannot leave the fate of Pakistan or our nation at the hands of such an incompetent, corrupt government and prime minister who have really destroyed. They have really made their policies are devastating, and if one more year is given to this prime minister and his government, I think that we won't be able to help our people. Our people are dying. Inflation is is at hike. The fuel prices means they have lost their popularity, and today, as our brother was saying in the Dheer Jalsa, I have received the videos where I have heard the people shouting liar, liar. So they don't hear the
Jameel
shouts.
Sahab, I'll let you answer this. Jameel Sahab, I hope you've been following. Ji.
I can send him these videos.
Ji, I would like to respond to Ms. Hasia and to my Mr. Mustafa Baloch that this no confidence move, I agree, it's a constitutional right. And I agree to Mr. Rajwana's statement that wait and see. No one is panicking. Either you people are bringing rallies. Mr. Maulana Fazlur Rahman Saab is basically panicking. Last night, he
Is it
blocked the
Maulana
entire
Sahib or the Prime
country.
Minister who is
He
panicking?
threatened the entire nation last night. Maulana Fazlur Rahman, he gave threats. He blocked the entire country. And then you can see who is panicking. So the public is seeing, everyone seeing who is panicking. It's a constitutional right of the opposition. Wait and see. Let the time come. The resolution has been submitted in the office of the speaker, and an appropriate time will be given. Uh, let it come to the floor of the assembly, and I think I am confident, the way you are confident, I being a parliamentarian of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, am more than confident that inshallah, this stunt of PDM will once again fail. And my sister Asia time and again says that corrupt government, I think everyone in the studio knows who has been corrupt in this country for the last almost 30 years. There were governments and the most corrupt governments. And I have the honor to say that my prime minister, there is not even a single statement, there is not even a single proof that he has been corrupt. He has been doing his best. As far as the prices, the price hike is concerned, right now, the countries like USA, the countries like UK, the Europe, everywhere there is a price hike. I don't think so. The opposition has some special tactics to control these prices. If you have something, please convey it to the, bring it on the floor of the assembly, bring subject suggestions. You people don't bring suggestions. It's only criticism. It's a very tough time for the entire world, not only for Pakistan. Price hike is all over the world. So we could have had some suggestion from the opposition, only criticizing and just giving a statement that corrupt government, whereas you have no proof to prove that. So I must say at the end that let the time come, wait and see. The time will decide who is right, who is not
Jameel
corrupt,
Sahib, I think
who is competent, and
Rafiq
who
Sahib is
deserves to
already
be on.
saying, Rafiq Sahib is essentially saying the same thing. He's saying that let the time decide. That is of course something that we will know anyway, sooner rather than later. Rafiq Sahib, overall, as far as criticizing the government is concerned, certainly the opposition is, that's their job. But as far as playing a more constructive role in the assembly is concerned, do you feel that PMLN particularly has done their part as far as that is concerned?
This constructive role or the role in the parliament is reciprocal. I had been in the parliament twice also. It's a reciprocal. From the day one, the prime minister, whether elected or selected, the prime minister is literally abusing in the sense that they are thieves. Now there is a very interesting question that when the NAB has registered cases, false cases, anyhow NAB says these are correct cases, the government says correct cases, whether the prime minister can play a role of a prosecutor, that I will not spare them. The case has been filed, they are facing the trial, they are appearing in the court. The courts have to decide subject to till final decision by the Supreme Court. Otherwise, the way they are being treated, the way the references are being prepared, filed, whereas Mr. Shahzad Akbar, who was always on the television. So, when the Prime Minister himself, when the Treasury benches, ball is in their court, it was in their court. from the day one, this is the attitude of the Prime Minister, and it really branches. It is the most important democratic constitutional duty of the government.
Jameel Saab, can you please tell us how, you know, what's your comment on what Rajwana Saab is saying? You know, certainly as far as holding gathering is concerned, or having, like, again, you know, having people to people contact is concerned, that is the purview, you know, one can't restrict a Prime Minister from doing that, from addressing his people, or from, you know, as far as the SARS program is concerned, as far as other programs that are for the people, when he's inaugurating these or when he's talking to the people. So for the opposition to criticize that, I think one would have to agree is not really, you know, quite credible. Ji.
Well, I would like to respond. Mr. Rafiq said that Prime Minister calling their leadership as thief, but he started with statement by calling my Prime Minister or the Prime Minister of Pakistan as selected. Well, it is always reciprocal the way he said it. These people were seeking NRO. Time and again, they were expecting NRO. And once NRO was not extended, once this facility was not given, so they retaliated. Secondly, there was a culture of you scratch my back and I'll scratch your back. They were coming turn by turn and looting Pakistan. So, if you calling the elected prime minister as a selected, and then you expect us not to call the corrupt people as thief or corrupt mafia, I think that will not be justified. Secondly, uh, I would like to respond to Mr. Mustafa Baloch that he says that Prime Minister has threatened Mr. Zardari. I think Baloch Saab, Zardari Saab, you know, there is a very common slogan that Ek Zardari Sab pe bhari. I think if he is threatened by such statements, I think these are not suitable words to be used. And I think the aim was not to threaten him. The aim was to expose the corrupt mafia, using those words were to expose them. And Imran Khan has very clearly said, even in today's gathering at the that now all the three main people who had been looting the nation, now they are on my target. This is not threatening. That means that now they all have get together to de-seat him, to bring vote of no confidence. And with the confidence that inshallah they will fail, the Prime Minister has conveyed very clearly that these three people, now they are on the same place. They have one objective and they will fail. Their politics will fail. Their politics will vanish. People have understood them. Previously, they made a stunt. Again, they repeating the same stunt, and they have been badly exposed, and they will fail. And if they fail, I assure you, their politics is over. And that is why they are panicking. That is why I asked you last night, Maulana Fazlur Rahman's the way he tried to stop the country was a move to avoid this no confidence movement. It was one of his try, because panicking, creating panic in the country is not to create an environment, because they are sure they're gonna lose. They're sure they're gonna be exposed, and they are sure that politics will be over very soon.
Yes, MARUKH, just give me a second to respond that rhetorically our brother is saying Maulana Fazlur Rahman is panicking, and regarding the unhappy incident that happened last night. Actually, I think that it was very right of Maulana Sahib to defend his constituents and his followers when they have done nothing and they are arrested. And I must say that who is panicking and who is getting nervous? Is it the opposition leaders, or it's the government and the Prime Minister? Because the language the Prime Minister has been using during these 2-3 days, the threats which he has been giving, and these are not only 3 men, these are men who are representing millions of Pakistanis. They have the mandate, and nobody can say that they are only 3 men who want to deceive the Prime Minister. It's not they who want to deceive the Prime Minister. I think that it's the performance, it's the slogans which the container Prime Minister held. I think the government has failed to live through their promises which they chanted on the
But why not? Let me go to Jameel Saab with an answer to this, but why not let the people decide? My question is, when there are...
But I think that no confidence is very much constitutional. You see that it's a 5-year tenure.
Again, saying that it's a constitutional
so we don't want to wrap up the system.
Jameel Saab, I'll let you answer.
No one is opposing this constitutional move. Never ever we have said that we are against this constitutional move. Imran Khan has announced today that he welcomes this step of opposition, and he was waiting for this time that this has to come. Secondly, I will ask my sister Asiya that using bad language and foul language for the first lady, who is not even at all, she is not at all involved in politics. You expect us you not to use foul language for your leadership, whereas your leadership, the entire PDM has been using foul language for the first lady. These are the basic norms, not to be, not to talk ill of a woman. What to talk of a woman who is never in politics, who is a parda absorbing lady, even again the PDM people, your leadership is talking ill of that lady. So I also you should condemn the being a woman, you should condemn it. Not why you should be talking to ill fall of the first lady.
At the
Thirdly,
same time,
Maulana
Jamil
Saab
Saab, you
reaction
should
was
also
correct.
condemn what
Yes.
Shehbaz Gill is saying about
Correct.
Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. He is a former Prime Minister, he is not alive, and he is saying very derogatory words about him. So
I
he should
think
also apologize for that.
across the board,
So-
by and large,
Who has
the
given friendship
culture,
with such culture and
the
language?
culture of politics should remain cordial, regardless
And-
of.
and
I
it's
think.
just-
Let me go to Rajwana Saab. Rajwana Saab, you are an experienced politician. I'm sure that you will agree that overall, as far as the culture of politics is concerned, certainly there should be opposition. Certainly there should be critique where it warrants that, legitimate critique, one would say. But at the same time, it's important for there to be a cordial relationship, a working relationship between the government and the opposition, which this kind of a move makes it difficult. Even if you fail, it will then make it difficult for you to have that kind of relationship with the government, which has consistently been the case. And for there to be issues of economy, on issues of international importance, our relationship with other countries, our diplomatic relationships, all of those things we need for there to be consensus, right?
I got you. At the cost of repetition, I reiterate that from the day one, the environment was not congenial, and as a democratic person, as a student of law, as well as a student of politics, I think that I have already said, ball is always in the court of the government. And suppose, for the sake of argument, though not conceding that the opposition is burning fire, just in a simple way, whether fire has to be extinguished or fire can be added with fuel on the fire or fuel in the fire, the way the government is behaving, government should act, listen to, government should act with maturity. Opposition has to play a role. Nobody can say that opposition should not say anything. Yes, this congenial atmosphere, this coordination could have been developed. But for the last 3.5 years, what steps have been taken by the government? Forget for the time being opposition. What steps have been taken by the government to sit with the opposition, to talk to the opposition? The Prime Minister could have invited the opposition on a cup of tea. If somebody refuses, then Prime Minister would feel elevated and will say that I've invited them on a cup of tea. He has to serve the country. He has not to oppose the opposition. He has not come here to oppose the opposition. Number two, just listen to me.
Just come back to
just for government to sell its product on its quality of manufacturing that product. They can't run the government and the country by criticism on the...
I'll let Jameel Saab answer this because he's the only government representative, so I have to go to him for his comments on Jameel Saab. You are outnumbered in this case, right now at least.
No, it's all right that at least there is someone representing the government in your studio. Had there been none, I think there would not have been justified. Yes. So, Rajwana Saab is a very senior politician, and I have lots of regards for him. And his comment that Prime Minister should have invited the opposition But I also must comment here that there is the politics have become very volatile now these days. Right from the day one, the language adopted by opposition, targeting the first lady, targeting prime minister, his character, his government, the way the opposition started their things, I think there was no space for such sittings. Well, on the floor of the house, it's on the record. Prime Minister asked opposition that instead of criticizing, they should come up with suggestions. They should come up with proposals. It's on record. Many a times the Prime Minister have asked the opposition to to not to criticize. Instead of criticizing, bring about some proposals to improve the economy. But it's the opposition who never let him speak on the floor of the house. It's for the first time in the history of Pakistan that whenever Prime Minister tried to speak on the floor of the house, opposition made it a fish market. It's on the record. So how can you expect then that we will be sitting with the opposition over a cup of tea? The culture that is prevailing, it's only because of the opposition. Had it been a clear culture, I remember just for the record, I remember the first day I was standing beside Prime Minister when Zardari Sahab entered the house. Prime Minister got up, waited for him, and shook hand with him. It was the beginning of the first day of the assembly. But opposition forgot this gesture. And from the very next day, they started criticizing. The first speech was by Bilawal Bhutto Zardari was calling him selected. So how can you expect us to sit with you over a cup of tea and then talk to you? So I'm sorry, there's no culture prevailing at this.
Jamil Saab, sorry to interrupt, but the Prime Minister himself was thumping the desk when Bilawal Saab called him selected. So either he couldn't get it, or either you guys are taking it too badly. So it's something which you should take it lightly. And if he's not selected, then just leave it. Don't bother about it.
But the point is, Asiya, let me go to you. The point is, as far as elections are concerned, elections in all history, we've seen all elections have been criticized by the opposition as being, either rigged or. So for this particular government to face this is certainly not new. Isn't that true? I mean, and it's not just, of course, the opposition is united at this time, but there was a time when PMLN was in government and the PPP said that, and the PPP was in government and the PMLN said that. So across the board, there is that criticism as far as, our elections are concerned, which goes again to the point that the government has wanted to, move towards electoral reform and all of that. But that is a fact that all elections have always been criticized in this country, unfortunately, for being not legit, so to speak.
Yes, Marukh, I think that it has been very, very unfortunate that there have been never any fair and free election in this country. Sorry to say that. And for this government, I must say that as the establishment went a step ahead,
so why not
to favor this country.
So
the thing is that
so then you are admitting that the opposition, which is joint, of which you are a part, has never been legitimately, has never come into power legitimately when all of those elections are,
you see,
Good
just
point.
listen to me. I'm saying that establishment
Good
went
point.
ahead
Yes,
to
that's
favor
the
this
point.
government particularly, and Prime Minister Imran Khan. And our brother was saying that we have enough patience to listen to the government. That's why we didn't interfere anything. We really want to listen to the government if they have anything productive and positive to say. Regarding the criticism from day one, I think it's the story started from before day one, when to be Prime Minister was on a container and he used such an abusive language. I think he left nobody. He has criticized the women politicians. He have criticized, the Maulana Hazrat, even especially my leader. I don't know what enmity he has with my leader. And secondly, I must say that
overall, I think we've all agreed that there is a culture, unfortunately, at this time where we are having across the board political parties say things to each other that perhaps they shouldn't be saying. There doesn't exist a working relationship. There doesn't exist, some form of, one would say, decorum or decency, when unfortunately one has to use that word, and that applies across the board to all political parties. A better culture, one hopes that there would be a better culture in politics, one hopes that there would be respect. When you talk to the government, they say that, you know, the opposition criticizes the First Lady. When you talk to the opposition, if it's the PMLN, they say that, you know, they criticize Mariam Nawaz, or before that, you know, even Kalsoom Saiba was not spared. So all of those things, unfortunately,
I think that we should condemn it all. This should not be the culture of politics. And second, I must say that to our Honorable Brother Jameel Sahib also, and I really appreciate Rajwana Sahib for what he is saying. I think he is really giving voice to our feelings and our thoughts. But the thing is, I think that the greater responsibility lies on the government, because they are in government. The role of opposition is to be a critique. Means if there is no opposition, there is no overseeing of the government. I think it's the role of the government. But I think that what enemies the government needs, if they themselves have friends like themselves who are all the time playing the role of opposition. So most of the time the people think that the Prime Minister is in opposition.
But isn't it unusual, Mustafa, it's not unusual when the government, the kind of numbers that the government has at this point, and the fact that of course that it has its allies, which it needs, for them to have those kind of fissures. It's not unnatural with any government with the same kind of numbers who has, you know, unfortunately needed that kind of help from the allies.
Marukh, what Prime Minister is facing right now is because of his arrogance.
Yes.
See, today he's going to MQM, today he's going to PMLQ, you know, earlier he was too arrogant to even meet them. So actually this is the way politics should be, like, you know, you need to meet people, you need to meet your allies, but he was quite arrogant.
You're saying that humility is important as far as politics is concerned.
And being in a government, you need to absorb criticism. You're not, you know.
Right, but Jameel Saab would say, if I asked him, and I think I'll let him say that, Jameel Saab, what would your answer be? You will say that it is because of accountability, right? That is what the government says when they say that, you know, the Prime Minister wants to hold people accountable, closer to him. It doesn't matter whether they're closer to him, whether they're his allies or not. He wanted across the board accountability.
Well, that's true. Accountability of everyone, even if it was from the government side or from opposition side. Well, that was the mandate of our government. Secondly, I would just question Mustafa Baloch Saab that if the opposition, and especially Pakistan People's Party, if they are so confident, then well, there are reports why they are trying to buy the members. They are offering 200 million rupees to the members. The speculations are there. So if the opposition, if the PDM is having the number, why they are giving offers, lucrative offers to the members, to the parliamentarians of the government. Secondly, it's not first time that Prime Minister is visiting the MQM people or its allies. I think Prime Minister have visited, it's the third time that he came to Karachi, and he went to the MQM people, and he went to the Pir Bagada house and met them. So there is nothing bad in meeting them. Well, at this point of time, even Zardari Saab is meeting the people. At this point of time, even Noon League people are meeting the people. So situation is volatile. Situation is tense. Every party is trying to meet up the people. I think there's nothing bad in that if Prime Minister has visited these people.
Right. On that note, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for being with us, Mustafa Abdullah Baloch. Thank you for joining us. Asiya Nasir, thank you for being with us. Rafiq Rajwana Saab, thank you for joining us. Jameel Ahmed Khan, thank you for being with us. Certainly, as Jameel Ahmed Khan Saab he says that there isn't any, as far as the government is concerned or the Prime Minister is concerned, for him to meet his allies, to ally their fears or their any issues that they may have is certainly not unnatural, and that does not signify or mean that the government doesn't have the requisite numbers as far as the no confidence motion is concerned. Of course, it remains to be seen what happens in the next couple of days. But one would have to say that at this time, both sides seem equally confident, also making assertions that the government saying that they have some people from the opposition also, the opposition saying the opposite. Of course, we'll know. But one thing is certain, if this no confidence motion fails, the opposition will have lost whatever ground, legitimacy that they have now mustered to get together against the government in this manner. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.